Okay. We're trying to focus on more of the internal obliques. Obviously, external and internal obliques work together. It's not like you can isolate one or the other, but there are some things that we can do and pay attention to in our bodies so that we're getting a little more awareness there. So a lot of times I'll be coaching, like my client that's coming in after this class, I was coaching her on a chop, and technically as I'm chopping, I should be able to feel my internal obliques working on the opposite side, like away from the cable, right? So if I'm like, this side needs to be working, my external obliques are working with that side. But if your rib cage starts to thrust forward, which can be very subtle, especially in people with really narrow rib cages, this little subtle movement then kicks on a little more external oblique on this side as it sort of, so if I chop and that rib kind of pushes forward, I'm going to get a little more external oblique sensation and also more that posterior sling. And so I'm not going to get as much of that feeling as the ribs coming back in space. So we're also going to really pay attention to our rib cage coming back as we go through a lot of the exercises. Okay. And then we're going to do things that are just dynamic once we feel it. Okay. So if anybody struggles with anything, just let me know. Oh, thanks, Allison. Well, I only spent $29. I'm sure I can bring it back to Walmart. It wasn't my life savings. So I was desperate last night. Okay, let me pin myself. And we're going to start. Let me just make sure I'm. Okay, you're going to be supine first. If you have a band, use a light one, okay? Or a cable of some sort, keep it near you because we're going to use it. If you don't, grab like a 5-10-pound dumbbell and keep that near you, okay? So actually, grab my dumbbell. So I want you to lay on your back. And we're going to bring our knees up, okay? From here, most importantly, you're going to take an exhale and let those lower ribs come down towards the ground, okay? When you inhale, I want you to be really vigilant about inhaling into the back of your rib cage where you can feel the pressure pushing into the floor. So take an inhale, breathing into the back body, the ribs will expand some, and then exhale, ribs coming down, okay? Inhale, into the back, into the floor. You should feel pressure pushing back there, then exhale. Now I want you to just keep one leg up for me and grab your dumbbell. You can start with that and we'll add the cable in a second. So we're going to progress through a few different progressions here. So I've got the one leg lifted. All I'm going to do is rotate. And as I rotate, I'm thinking of connecting my back, the back of my ribs to the floor. I don't want to rotate and let my ribs extend up. Okay. So I've got my leg lifted just on the one side. I'm going to inhale into my back. Exhale. Rotating to that side. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Rotating to that side. I'm going to turn around so you can see me from this angle too. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Just a little movement. Feeling the obliques on that same side, okay? Inhale. Exhale. So once you've done 5, switch to the other side. So I'll explain this while you're doing this, the other side. If you have a straighter rib cage on one side or the other, a lot of times it can be the left. So if you look at me, let me see if I can. So this side of my rib cage is a little bit like more angled down and a little bit straighter, whereas this side of my rib cage comes out a little bit wider. My ribs are a lot wider than they used to be. I used to be like a very narrow tube. So if that happens, it is harder usually to feel your oblique, the internal oblique on that side. Typically, that is your left side. Not that you can't have a bilateral rib flare, but a lot of times in a lot of these exercises, you might notice, oh, my left obliques are harder to get that sensation that I want. Maybe some of you are already noticing that here. Okay, so then when you're done, we're going to put both feet on the ground first. Grab your cable if you have it, or your band, and we're going to actually pull across with the band, okay? And I am going to have you, am I not showing up? Hold on. Okay, I am going to have you progress through this. So I'm going to grab the cable. I'm going to pull to midline. It's very light. I only have the 5 pound on here. Okay. From there, I'm going to imagine connecting with my ribs and rotating to the side. Lift that leg. Pull across. Pull across. If you don't have the cable, the next progression we're going to go to is both legs lifted as you come across. So you can use the weight and just hold, breathe and inhale. If you want to try this with the cable, it is much harder. I'm going to inhale, both legs lifted, exhale across. So pick one of those progressions, and I want you to do about 8 reps on each side, okay? So you can either stick with the single leg that we started with, you can lift the leg with the dumbbell, you can add your cable with a single leg, or you can add your cable with double leg.
How do you know you're like feeling your ribs on the ground enough?
So when you rotate across, it should feel like this part of your back is not leaving the ground.
But like when I rotate to the right, is that left side of it leaving the ground? Or neither
Yes,
side.
sorry, I meant on the side that you're rotating towards. Yes. So if
Okay,
you're rotating to the left side of your back is going to go into the floor here.
okay. It just doesn't feel like it goes more into the floor as I rotate the way it should.
So try it with both feet on the ground first, Amelia, and go into a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt and let me know if that helps.
Okay, I'll try that.
You are more of that narrow infrasternal angle, tall, thin. That's why it's going to be a little bit harder. I'm going to pin you too, so we can see. So hold it there. Take an exhale first. Good. Hold the air out and then pull across. Good. Now hold it there. Take an inhale. Can you feel that inhale going into your back a little bit? And then exhale again. And then go back. So you might have to initiate each one with a full exhale to allow the ribs to come down a little bit more before you initiate the movement. Does that help at all? That's why I did progressions, because everybody's going to be at a different place.
Yeah, that helps so much. And I know I need this so
Yeah,
bad.
And as you get better at it, it will actually widen your rib cage so that you don't have to struggle. You'll get more wide this way, but narrower this way versus narrower this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you found what works for you. Okay, so we're gonna, are we standing up? I can't remember, so I have cheaters. Oh, okay. Grab a slider or a plate or a towel, anything that you can use underneath your foot to slide around on the floor. We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna do another set. I just wanted everybody to find a progression that works for you. So I'm gonna be in a little bit of a bear plank like this, okay? And I'm gonna bring this leg out and in. And as I do, I'm gonna take my left hand and reach across underneath me. Exhale, and then inhale, exhale. If you're struggling with that knee up, keep the opposite knee up. And as you come across and rotate and push away, get those ribs back. Exhale, then inhale. Exhale, then inhale. So on this one, you can put a dumbbell in your opposite hand to add a little bit of load to it, or you can grab your band or your cable, and this will really light up the obliques here. So I'm gonna go inhale, exhale, pull across. And you can keep the knee on the ground. So both sides of your abs are really gonna work in that bear position. So don't worry if you're feeling the opposite side that you're not rotating towards, you should. But I want you to see if you can also connect with this side into those internal obliques a little bit, okay? So any progression is fine. I want you to pick what works for your body. And like I just coached Amelia, you may want to take like a full exhale first, then initiate the movement, then hold it in that end, take an inhale, and then exhale again and come back. Because we're also trying to build that eccentric control using the abs. And I feel like sometimes less is more. Like the harder we make abdominal activity, sometimes we just end up compensating through it. So I just say that because like sometimes it feels like we're regressing, but we're really not. It's not necessarily a regression, it's just what's more optimal for your body type. This is always a very interesting one for the which side is able to feel it a little bit easier. Is anybody noticing that difference side to side? Okay, that's interesting, Andrea. Do you have a right rib flare? I can't remember. You might even get into a longer plank position and play around with that as well. Okay, once you're done, we're gonna go back and do the supine movement one more time. So I'm gonna roll through the progressions and you can pick whichever one works for you. So if you don't have a cable, you don't have a cable. It's no big deal. Grab the weight. You're either keeping both legs on the ground. Inhale. This is what I took Amelia through. Exhale. Hold the air out as you rotate. Then inhale again. Exhale. Hold the air out as you come back, okay? You can do one leg lifted. You can do the same thing with the breath, or you can just go into inhale, exhale as you rotate, okay? You can do both legs, or you can do any of those adding band or cable. So pick your poison, and you got 8 reps on each side. And if you don't have a band or a cable, do it when you go to the gym next time. Just add this into your workout so you can get a sense of it.
if you have your 2 feet on the ground, are you keeping both sides of your hips on the ground, or are you lifting a little bit the opposite side, the same way that your opposite side ribs lift?
Yeah, I was actually keeping the
Hip.
pelvis a little more neutral and kind of allowing more of the rib cage to rotate. Not that it would be bad, and actually now that you say that, um, you could even do like you're trying to like drag down and do a hip shift in a way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And kind of push
Yeah,
the
yeah, it
opposite
kind
knee
of
up.
what going on to that. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, because we're going to be doing a bunch of like hip shifting adduction type stuff because the adductors help so much with getting
Okay.
the internal obliques to come on too. So that, I mean, that would be a cool progression. You could even put a ball between your knees and do it. I hadn't thought all the way through that, but now I'm going to try it with Jennifer today when she comes in, because this is like the first exercise we ever did together where she could really feel her obliques working. So you're going to go do the bear one more time, and then we're getting busy standing, doing this in more dynamic activities. Jessica, lifting the arm off the floor. Is that in the bear? Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're going to feel a lot of external obliques on that side that's stabilizing the bear. And you could just leave don't take the knee up. And again, that's not bad because they're working together.
I noticed when I did the bear the first time, when I was going to the left, I was moving through my hips and not moving in my ribs and lifting that hip height. So that's just something else to pay attention to, I guess.
Yeah,
It makes such a difference to,
and I guess, especially Belinda, because you tend to have a lot more laxity through your pelvis and those hips move quite a bit.
yeah.
So that makes sense. Another thing you could do is put your feet on the wall. Keep your one knee grounded and use that hamstring on that side. And then pull the opposite knee in. You don't have to extend the leg out, but just pull it in and see if you get more sensation. You probably don't have the setup to use the band, but I'll show you guys what I mean. Because I actually
I'll try. Thank you.
Yeah. So I could stay. I could stay a little grounded over this left side. So I've got my foot on the wall, pulling up to get my hamstring on the left, and then I can take just to help keep the pelvis from rotating too much. And really feel the ribs coming back. Might not be a bad idea to put your hand on the ribs too. Love all this feedback too, because it's helpful because everybody is so different. So when you're done, let me know because you're going to stand up and we're going to make this more dynamic in our split squats. Okay, good. I think we're ready to roll. All right, so I'm going to do a split squat. And as I go down, I'm going to take my opposite hand and connect the inside of my thigh. It's important that you're not here extended. You do want to be back with that rib cage. So I'm going to come down. I'm reaching with the same side arm, pushing into my knee on the inside with the opposite, thinking of my ribs moving back in space as I rotate towards that leg. So I'm going to go down, full exhale, ribs are back and rotated, pushing in to get those internal obliques, and then back up. If you struggle to reach to the knee, you can take a yoga block and just so you can keep your chest more upright. So I want you to see if you can create that connection. I would also suggest a shorter stance. So keeping your feet closer together is going to make it easier to stay back. Kate, bring your right foot much closer to your left. A little bit more. A little bit more. Yes, now your body can really go back. And right there, hold that and drop your ribs down in the front. Good, good. Can you feel a little more connection now? Good, awesome. Sometimes people find it easier too to elevate the front foot. So that's another little trick you can do. So we'll do 8 of these on each side. Good job. Everybody looks great. Karen, your rib position looks really good, but I might have you you have long legs. I might have you grab the yoga block and use that to push into your knee so you can stay a little bit more upright with it. So hold it the long ways. Yeah, and then lift your whole body so you're more upright as you go down. Yep. And then down. Good. Yeah, so it's a little less hingy just for these purposes, but your ribs look good. Okay, so we're gonna do a little quick step chop. You can raise up your band or your cable if you want to use that. If not, I'm gonna show you how to do it with the with just a weight. So now I want you to feel that same thing dynamically. I'm gonna grab the cable. I'm gonna start back here with my back foot that's gonna step quickly forward. Okay, so I'm gonna inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm stepping, but watch how I'm actually moving my rib cage back. See, it's kind of closing down and over. So I'm rotating through here, okay? You can do the same thing with the weight. And try to get that same connection.
Can you please do the band one more time?
Yes.
Thanks.
And you could go higher if you wanted and play around with how much of a vertical angle you're creating. So I've got the weight over here. I'm not necessarily, I don't want to be in this big anterior tilt because it's gonna like push me forward. I want to pull down and across. You can see ribs are coming almost, black wasn't a good option today, are coming back. So now I'm really getting that posterior motion as I rotate. Instead of stepping and thrusting forward and getting more of this posterior sling pushing me forward. It's almost like a full back in a way. Joey, stay a little more weighted on your right side as you step the left foot forward. Yes, so it's almost like you're, oh wait, something's off. What's off? Hold on. Oh, no. You got it. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out back and front. Yeah. That's it. Good. Okay, so we're gonna go back one more set of the split squat with the 80 deduction. You got 8 reps. If you want to add a weight, you can. If you want to just get a little heavier, you can hold it in the opposite hand and still come down.
So when you said have more weight, so on that right leg, the one that wasn't stepping through, so it's just kind of like a tap step forward, so I'm not transferring my weight.
Yes, I'm almost like trying to hold you back to get the
Okay.
to rotate back. Yeah, I should have explained that better. Yes.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I bet some of this stuff feels different too, depending on if you're using a cable or a band because of that end range tension, just FYI. So if you have a chance to use some sort of cable system, sometimes it's interesting to feel the difference. So if we add load and when we start to add speed, which was what we're about to do, all of this becomes much harder because now we're changing the dynamic control that our bodies are capable of. So that's why I wanted to start this way, more focused, where you really can feel the motion. So then when we don't have the time to feel it as much, we can get it. So one more set of the step through. And let me show that again, because I think Joey's question was really good. So like, I'm loaded on my left, I'm not really like stepping like that going forward. Not that you couldn't do that. I'm trying to kind of stay loaded on that left. And my body's kind of almost pushing back on the right. So I could lift this foot at any time. I should explain that better. You could step forward. It's just, I think it's a little bit harder to keep that control for this, the purposes of this. And heck, try it each way and see what works better for you. I'd be interested to know if you get a different feeling by stepping forward or holding back. Movement is so subjective. Always so interesting. I guess that's why I like teaching this class, because I learn just as much from watching you guys.
I feel like, doing one of those poses, like you go like this.
Oh my God, yes, it's like the Arnold pose or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about that, I don't know anything about like figure
Me
competition or
neither.
anything,
Me neither.
but I
That's
bet
just
they're
my-
doing that to try to get the obliques to really show up, right?
Maybe.
Like, it's so funny because there's that pose, but then there's also like the super flared rib cage butt out pose. You know what I'm talking about? That they do in figure competitions. And my back hurts just watching people do that. I'm like, oh. Joey, I see you're talking, but I think your volume's off.
Oh, okay. So, and staying grounded and heavy on that supporting leg just really helps you feel grounded and on that side too. So I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice like, and your obliques are working on that side to stabilize you too. Yeah. Yeah, I love all those type of movements. I do them a lot with like a push or a pull or a row or, you know, or a chest press, like the same thing, just stepping and reaching. It's kind of, as I look at Jenna too, I think about her background with functional patterns. They do a lot of this stuff. And I've actually watched people and noticed how much people tend to sort of thrust the ribs forward. And I think if they thought about keeping it back when they're doing these crossbody patterns, they might actually get a little bit more out of it, you know, potentially. Okay, so we're about to move pretty fast. We're gonna do a oblique sit first to really check in, and then we're gonna go right into a Bosch clean. So everybody's gonna be on your mat. And you're gonna be in sort of a 99 position, but I'm actually, this front leg, I'm putting my foot on my knee here, okay? So I'm gonna take my hands and rotate towards the floor. I'm not doing that. I wanna stay back a little bit. I'm gonna push away from the floor, take an inhale. And then I'm gonna exhale as I lift my knee off the ground. If you're comfortable with it, I'm gonna have you inhale, exhale, reach through, lift the knee off the ground. So I'm focusing on the right side here with my right knee forward, getting those obliques as I push away so my ribs can't thrust forward. You can also do this with the cable or your band. And you're basically doing kind of a chest fly motion. So if I'm here, turn, push away. Not a good angle. And kind of pulling with the cable across. If you're limited in mobility in the hips in that position, you can prop yourself up on a block. You might only need a half block, whatever it is, and do the same thing. So I'm gonna rotate. It's a little easier to get that adduction and internal rotation of that hip. This is one too, where when you switch sides, because of how much adduction you have, it might feel a lot harder on one side or the other to get that leg up. So I want you to do about 6 to 8 on each side.
You're looking kind of for a squeeze on the same side ribs of the leg that is lifting.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Tegan, I'd be curious how this feels in your hip. Then I just asked because it's in external rotation, but adduction, and if that actually is better or harder, if you notice anything.
So what's been helping me this week is from the first exercise of last week where you'd said to put the towel under the pelvis when we had our foot dragging up the wall in like a long lever but not lifted bridge. The right side of my pelvis can't do a posterior tuck without support. And so like so it's different from side to side here. I have to put that towel on the right to be able to access the abduction or adduction.
So
Effectively.
the towel is pushing you into a posterior pelvic tilt.
Right. Because otherwise I just get the rib flare.
Yeah, because then your whole, everything thrusts forward. Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, I was wondering about that. For those of you that might have hip issues, impingement, labrum stuff. Okay, so this is your kind of typical, we've done this many times. Get this better. We're gonna do a hinge, and as I come across, So kind of a co-contraction, I'm a little more in the front of my foot, heel doesn't have to be completely lifted. As I come across, I'm gonna chop and rotate over this leg, okay? What you're gonna see on a lot of these is this sort of. Again, nothing wrong with that, but if you wanna connect and manage your intra-abdominal pressure and really go get the glute working, if you control that. And get in connection with this internal oblique on that side. You're probably gonna feel your glute much more. Bonus points if you can go into hip extension with a pause and then land. And if you're not sure, do it with the ribs thrusting forward, like actually force that, and then try the opposite. Sometimes experiencing the complete opposite in your body helps you to undo it.
Katie, can you demo that one more time? I'm just a little confused as to where the chop is starting.
Let me do it from this side, actually. So here, kind of on the outside of this leg, little bit leaning forward, so I've already got glutes and hamstrings going. And then as I come up, I'm coming over this opposite leg, but not like that. So it's just a little held back. And you can also, you know, if you know one side is more kind of anteriorly tilted rib flare, do you feel your glute as much? Is it harder to feel the glute? Sometimes that can be the case.
I think the hardest thing with that is then in the effort to find the glute firing, not squeezing everything, over engaging the pelvic floor. I think that's like what I was in before. And now I'm trying to get the glute to fire, but not do that. And it always feels like I'm not quite sure that everything's happening the way it should.
Yeah, I get that too, because you probably tried to avoid clinching for so long. And then it's like, but if I tuck under more and keep and that's where I think the rib cage is so important, because if you can get the rib cage to rotate back, then actually you don't have to like deal with the pelvis, because it'll just keep the pelvis in a better position so the glute can work. But yeah, that is yeah. And this is obviously like a very dynamic, highly athletic type movement, because it's teaching us to get into those push off positions. So we are meant to, you know, completely contract the glute back there. Okay, grab a foam roller. I'm going to give you a couple options on this because it's hard, not gonna lie. You need a weight that you can do a chest press with.
One or
Okay,
two weights? Just one?
so got my roller. I'm gonna be at a bridge on my left leg here. Okay, I'll show you from the side. I've got to really stabilize with this left oblique as I come down with the opposite arm. So I'm trying to think of ribs staying a little bit down, coming down and back up. Some of you may want to exhale as the arm comes down and inhale as you push up to get a little more control. If the foam roller feels too hard, okay, first of all, you can keep it in closer. Or you can just use the wall in a bridge. You can kind of go a little bit of a long lever here. And that makes it a little bit easier as well. So I want 10 of those on each side. And you'll kind of feel how your whole rib cage wants to rotate with you towards the arm that's pressing. So these hamstrings become a big key player here. You can also put the roller on the wall. I think I see Karen doing that. Joey's doing it too. Just so it doesn't roll away from you. When you're done, I'm gonna give you an option for that oblique sit. You can do exactly what we did the first time, which is just keep your hands rotated, ribs pushed back. Exhale, lift the knee, or reach through, lift the knee. Or you can grab your table, take away the support of your hands. Come across, lift that knee, and back. Try to let the ribs dynamically rotate. You'll get more of a side bend on the opposite side, so I will say you'll feel more external obliques on that side. So depending on what you're going for, you can kind of work through both variations and see what feels best in your body. Personally, I did it both ways yesterday, but personally, I liked the support of my hands. That felt more connected to me. So up to you. You can also just do the one arm pulling and still use the hand like we did. So about 6 to 8 of these, and then we're going to go back and do another set of the Bosch clean.
Just FYI, with the foam roller, I was able to do it without the wall this time. With the chest press and the foam roller.
Wait. Oh, you did the foam roller without it on the wall. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for the first time. So
Oh, good. I mean, your hamstrings are on fire with that one. I mean,
they're on that verge of like cramping, but I was able to pull through. So yay.
good. I know. And when that arm comes down, it's just like, ah. And my left side is always harder. So I know that feeling. It's like I can almost like not keep my body from just wanting to tumble over. So I know I need it. So I thought about taking what you said on these, and I was thinking, what if you loaded into that hip, like really almost rotated towards to start, just to really get the opening so you get the full contraction. And I just wonder if that would help a little bit with that posterior pelvis tightening to come from a place of a lot of length. And then come forward. I don't necessarily coach these that way very often, but I don't see why you couldn't.
When we do the chest press, is the foot that's on the roller opposite of the weighted hand?
Yes, that's what makes it terrible.
On one side, I feel really stable, and on the other side, I'm all over the place.
Which side?
When my left foot is on the roller.
Yes, that's really, really common. That's the same with me. It's so hard to get those hamstrings and glutes to pull the pelvis underneath you without feeling like you're just going to tumble over. Yeah. So you just have to modify that side for now and put your foot on the wall instead, or, just try a different variation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure. Hi. How do you say, is it, tell me, or you have to unmute.
Hi, I have a scoliosis and I don't feel my back very well and I operation, but now I feel better my back. And thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Can you tell me how to say your name so I don't butcher it?
Biljana, Biljana,
Biana.
Biljana, da.
Thank you. Biana. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad that that's what's happening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. When you're done, stand it back up. We're going to be doing a sit to stand, so you'll need a chair or a bench. Oh, Erin, that's a good, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I didn't even say that modification, but she said if I hip shift on the foam roller with both feet, so you could, that's great. You could go up into a bridge and sort of drag one hip down a little bit more and then do it. Otherwise you couldn't feel it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we're gonna do a single leg sit to stand into a lateral lunge with a chop. So if I'm standing up on my right leg, I'm gonna come up, the weight comes across, and then I'm gonna go into a lateral lunge and focus on ribs rotating back. And then I'm gonna reset. So I'm gonna come back, up, back, up. Okay. Do it from here too. Up. And you can use the opposite foot to help you get up as like a kickstand, and then just put a little more weight and then lift it once you get up. Or put something under your butt, like a pad to elevate the surface a little bit.
Can you show it one more time with, I need to see what you're doing with your arms.
Let me do it from both sides. So going up and then across.
Okay.
Up. Yeah, that's it.
For some reason in my brain, the first time I saw you do it, you did a chop to the standing leg side when you stood up, and then I went to try to do that. I was like, wait, that's impossible. It doesn't work that way.
That would be really awkward.
I have to leave early. Take care. Thank you.
Bye, Kate. Thank you.
Thanks.
So when you're done, if you can put your bench in front of the wall or a chair in front of the wall. I'm gonna be in this position, like a bird dog. Let me do this. So you're gonna have to figure out where you need to be to basically get this leg in kind of a long lever position that you can drag up the wall, okay? And then on the opposite, this leg that's standing, I'm gonna allow my pelvis to turn a little bit over that leg. So I'm really lengthened through this hip, and the opposite leg is dragging up the wall, okay? I'm gonna grab a weight that I can row. So I'm here, dragging this foot up, rotating over that leg, okay? I'm gonna exhale, row. Inhale down. So as I'm rowing, I wanna think of my rib cage rotating with me without my ribs thrusting forward, okay? So I'm rotating, coming back down. So it's a little bit of a funny setup because you kind of have to move things around to get in the right space. Oh, you guys got it, good. So the whole rib cage rotating back, just like we've done in all the other exercises. Beautiful. So Amelia, when you pull up, hold it. Okay, right there. Drop your ribs down in the front. A little bit more, take an exhale. So think of them coming into, you're in more of a flex position of the spine. Yes. Feel how the back of your ribs feel like they have to push back in that position. Yeah, try to go there every time. Yes, good. It's a little bit of a battle in a way. Not to mention you have what looks like a maybe 2-year-old crawling underneath your leg. Look how cute. She's got the band. Not 2. She's probably 1. So cute. Okay, so we're going to go back and do the sit to stand one more time with the chop. So I'm coming up on one leg, arm comes across, over to the opposite side, back down. About 8 of these on each side. Interesting, Melinda. Yeah, because you would think of exhaling as you're going forward. I'll have to try it. I don't know that I've ever done that. Huh, that is interesting. I kind of felt it too. I'll have to play around with that one a little more. Okay, so you're gonna do one more set of the bird dog row. I just heard my client open the gate. I can always hear when it opens. So I'm gonna run. If you can take just 5 minutes to do some gentle breathing, sucker punch, crocodile breathing, whatever it is. Maybe even open up the lateral rib cage a little bit. Okay, Jess, I'm glad you liked it. Whatever you want to do, get a little restorative breathing here at the end. And I will see you guys next week. Let me know if you have any requests. Bye, everybody.